We are now in open session, and I declare we only discuss the items that were on the closed meeting agenda. We're going to continue with our agenda. Item 6 is delegations, and we do not have any. And we do not have any business arising from the minutes. So we'll move on to item 8, which is council and committee of the whole minutes. And this is 8.1. I need a mover and seconder before I highlight those. And I'll take Councillor Cable and Councillor Sacco. So these are the regular council meeting minutes from January 13th. During that meeting, we approved the annual health and safety policy statement and work plan, and also the annual workplace violence and harassment policy statement. We approved the town's annual liability and property insurance for a total annual cost of $808,000. We also authorized internet and telephone voting as the voting method for the 2026 municipal and school board elections. And that's all I have for highlights. Any comments or questions with those minutes? All in favor of adopting those minutes? That is carried. Thank you. Item 8.2 is committee of the whole meeting minutes from February 3rd. Can I get a mover and seconder? Councillor Hocking and Councillor Fleet. During that meeting, we approved a motion with regard to the U.S. tariffs. And I just want to highlight this again. We endorse the federal and provincial call to action to buy Canadian where and when possible, and that the federal and provincial governments work with municipalities on measures to protect Canadian consumers and businesses, and that council call on the federal and provincial government to remove any impediments to municipalities preferring to engage Canadian companies for capital projects and supplies when appropriate and feasible. We also agreed to not pursue the sale of the Saugeen Municipal Airport, and that council is interested in revisiting the joint municipal service agreement. The annual water quality report is available at the municipal office and posted on the town's website. And the 7th Avenue water tower tender was awarded to Landmark Structures Company for a total cost of $9 million. And one more, that council, we also directed staff to investigate options in consultation with local youth to develop a strategy that encompasses services or initiatives for youth support with respect to retention and skills and workforce development. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Item 9 is staff reports. The first one, 9.1, is report ED 0125. The subject is the Eat Well Farmers Market Agreement. It's from April Marshall, our Economic Development Manager, and I need a mover and seconder before April highlights that report. Councillor Cable and Councillor Hudson. April?
Thank you, Your Worship, and good evening, Council. This evening's report is about the Eat Well Farmers Market and signing another 3-year agreement with them. So we have been doing this for the past 9 years that the Eat Well Farmers Market has been in operation at Heritage Square, and it typically runs from June to October. We talk about supporting local, and a farmers market is a great opportunity to demonstrate that. It's a venue for local farmers and artisans to sell their produce, food products, handcrafted items directly to the public, and it benefits both our citizens and tourists. So the sense of community is growing as far as the collaboration with the Eat Well Market. It's a great opportunity for us to demonstrate partnering and building that attraction to downtown Hanover. So that is done through events like Music in the Square and the Saugeen Artists Guild Quick Paint event that they started last year, which actually alternates. I just wanted to confirm that the Plein Air Festival by the Saugeen Artists Guild will run 1 year, and then they'll do the quick paint, and then they'll alternate that way. So as far as the Eat Well Market goes, I'm happy to report that Jessica Marin is the new market manager. She assumed operations in 2024. She's a long-term vendor. She's also known as the Bohemian Farmer, and she's just a lovely person to deal with. And she has a great vision for this market, and it's very exciting to have someone managing the market such as Jessica. Last year, they applied for the Event Development Fund so that they were able to extend their operations by partnering with the library, as an example, to have an educational booth. But also, she reaches out to the students, Saugeen Student Startup Program youth to have a booth there as well, and provides them that opportunity to sell directly to customers via that event. That is just some of the things as an example of how her vision to collaborate and grow the market. And we were happy to support that through the Event Development Fund. You'll notice that she also has some hip culture tents that she has available for these very purposes that I have just outlined. So as far as tonight's discussion goes, this is a 3-year agreement, and it is essentially is the same as it has been in previous years, but it will be covered 2025, 2026, and 2027 seasons. So for everyone's interest, this year, the 2025 season will run from May 31st to October the 11th. And we will once again partner with the Music in Square events so that they have music on those days, and then alternate days they will work on their own entertainment and activities. The agreement basically outlined whose responsibilities are what as far as using that space. So we like to really detail, just not only their logistical requirements or insurance requirements, but also just outlining, how to properly use a square by not, driving on the paver stones, and where to unload their products. But then also the support that we give them via marketing the market as a tourism driver in our downtown, but also sorry, that's a lot of ums, but also that they will be using our electricity, and just those logistical things that we want to just fully lay out so that everybody is under the same understanding, and we do not charge for that space for them to use that, because there's a mutual benefit for both of us. So the market usually has about 6 to 10 local vendors, and they range in offering organic produce, ostrich products, beef and pork, handmade arts and goods, woodwork design. There's a Mexican food vendor is there as well, fresh fish, entrepreneurial youth booths. So a lot is happening there. And I know that we always want to see more growth in the market. And as vendors come, more people come, but when more people come, more vendors come. So it's a bit of back and forth. But I think by consistently working to grow it and promoting it, we will see that success for sure. So as far as financial implications go, there are no direct financial implications associated with this agreement. There are ongoing costs that we assume in our operations for Heritage Square as a whole. And then we would also build this into our regular marketing, wayfinding signage, things of that nature. The one cost to us would be we reimburse them for their Farmers Market Ontario membership, which is a $300 max. And that's just an opportunity to show us on that provincial scale that this is a certified farmers market, and then that they are adhering to public health guidelines. So the links to the strategic plan are a healthy and welcoming community, and a strong and vibrant economy. And I would just like to highlight again that there are a lot of indirect financial implications involved with the farmers market. It enhances our local commerce, increases tourism, it promotes community engagement, and it contributes to the economic vitality of our downtown, which I know is very important to all of us. So the recommendation is that report ED 0125 Eat Well Farmers Market Agreement 2025 to 2027 be received, and that council approve the attached agreement between the town of Hanover and Eat Well Farmers Market, and that the CAO be authorized to sign the agreement on behalf of the town of Hanover. I would be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, April. Councillor Hudson.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a couple of things that I'm curious about. You mentioned the growth, trying to grow the market. So who is it that people contact if they are interested? Is it Jessica? The other question is there a cost for the booth for any potential vendors? And if so, what would that be?
April?
As through Your Worship, yes, Jessica Marin is the manager of the market, so she is responsible for coordinating all elements of the market. So we do have, it needs to be updated for the season, but we do have a farmers market page on hanover.ca that we promote for them, and we include Jessica's contact information on there so that people can easily reach her. And I have to get an updated cost as far as vendor fees goes. There is definitely a cost, as they need to also have manage their funds so that they can they have sufficient funds for the costs that they need to incur, such as insurance and marketing and things of that nature. But it is set up as a not-for-profit, and the money is circulated back into the organization to help grow it. So I don't have the exact figures of what she is charging. I know it's nominal, and I know that if you sign up for the whole season, it's even better. And I know as a youth that she does typically give the spaces at no charge, which is really great to see. So I can get back to you if you would like an actual final cost to be a vendor.
Okay. All right, Councillor Cable.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you, April, for the report. Just wondering, April, in number 2.06, it talks about the town's not charging the farmers market for use of Heritage Square. Then it talks about an exemption for hawkers and peddlers licenses. And the final line says, for clarity, vendors are not permitted to resell retail or used goods items. Is that a new line that's being added in? I'm just wondering about I think in previous years I've seen, for example, like a Pampered Chef retailer that is there. How does that fit into the market?
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Cable, for that question. Essentially, that has been put in there for total clarity here. There was an instance, and it was previous to Jessica managing the market, but there was a situation that the manager at that time was trying to create I guess almost like a garage sale in the square, that we had to kind of intervene and just share that that wasn't permissible. So yes, that is a new line added in there. They have to maintain, to be a true farmers market, they have to have 51% locally grown or produced items to be a farmers market. So as long as they stick in with that, they can have a few one-offs, such as a Pampered Chef vendor. I know that's typically not what you see at a farmers market, but if they stay in those guidelines, that's fine. But this line has really been put in there so that people aren't, or vendors aren't, considering essentially having garage sale items or purchasing from another business and then trying to resell. That's really where that line is trying to help mitigate some of that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, other questions? Councillor Fleet.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you, April, for that report. You know, it's great to see the Eat Well market back up on Saturdays, getting combined with music in the square. I think it's an opportunity for both events to grow. You know, with this long-term agreement in place, I think it's great, and hopefully both groups can grow with it. So well done, and thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Fleet. And sorry, Mayor Patterson, if I could just add one more thing. I can't make any announcements right now, but Jessica and I had a great brainstorming session, and we're really trying to promote like that picnic in the park idea. So she's going to be talking to some of her vendors about how we can further that idea as well. So hoping to bring some more elements in.
Oh, that sounds good. Oh. Okay, I'm going to call the question. All in favor of ED 0125. That is carried. Item 9.2 is report FI 0325. The subject is a bylaw to establish and regulate a fire department. It is from our fire chief, Chief Deniger, who is also our CEMC. And I need a mover and seconder to put this on the floor. Deputy Mayor Dickert and Councillor Sacco. Chief?
Thank you, Your Worship. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Thank you. So this report, as stated, is a bylaw to establish and regulate a fire department in the town of Hanover. The bylaw requires an annual review to ensure that it's accurate and current. Due to a number of legislative changes, a new enabling bylaw has been drafted. As part of the annual review, an assessment of the services and protocols was conducted to ensure best practices are in place for the safety of the community and our firefighters. The annual review has resulted in a comprehensive overhaul to the existing bylaw. The attached document highlights in strike-through and blue-colored font the changes which will be incorporated in the proposed bylaw of number 328-25. There are no financial implications associated with this change, and the link to the strategic plan is sustainable municipal operations. The changes are attached from that start on page 29 of your package. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you, Chief. I did like the way you did that with the red font and the blue font. That was very helpful. Deputy Mayor Dickert.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you, Chief. Just a quick question regarding the change there on page 59 where it says the volunteers had to reside within the fire response area. Now it says 5 kilometers. Is that a legislative change? Is that a local change? And does it make much difference as far as how many people might be available to join the department?
Chief?
Through you, Your Worship. Yeah, we reviewed the call area, and the call area is quite narrow. Or sorry, it's quite long in the middle. Therefore, significant times for people to come in from the outer reaches of our response area. So we felt a more of a radius around the fire station would ensure a quicker response time from the firefighters. Would it reduce the amount of applicants? Not really. Just clarifies and opens up actually some opportunity to people that might be just on the fringe or just outside of our coverage area, but still within 5 kilometers of the station.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, Councillor Cable.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you, Chief, for the report. I imagine this took a lot of time to put this together and to go through and make all the updates. I'm just wondering if you could clarify some of the reasoning around the attendance threshold. I think it's on page 31 of our package. It looks like there's been a change where now members are required to attend training, but the part about attending fire occurrences has been removed. And just wondering what the thinking is around that.
Go ahead.
Through you, Your Worship. Life is getting busier. We have gone from, a couple of years ago, we might have had under 150 calls. We're now at 256. Some people can't leave work. The percentage of calls that come in during the day, no one knows. It varies from year to year. So as an example, last year, half of our calls were during the day. A lot of our personnel can't leave work. So it was unjustly, putting them in a situation where they had to explain why they weren't achieving our attendance record. And we didn't feel that was fair. So this provides us a little more latitude and flexibility in that if it becomes a problem, we will talk to the individual. But if we find that 50 or 60% of the calls are when they're at work and they can't leave work, it provides us the latitude to say, okay, that's understandable.
Excellent. Okay, thank you very much for clarifying. I'm also wondering, could you clarify the difference between automatic aid and mutual aid? So if I'm thinking correctly about the fire at Knights of Columbus, I believe that area there, we have an agreement to service with Brockton. So that would be automatic aid. Is that correct? Can you clarify the difference between those?
Yes, through your worship, you're exactly right. Automatic aid would be an agreement where we respond first outside of our area. Mutual aid is a reciprocal service that we can each request from each other. So if West Grey has a fire and needs a tanker, we have a tanker, they have a tanker, we can go help them, knowing that when we have a call, just like we did on the weekend, we can call them. There is no cost for mutual aid.
Excellent, thank you.
Okay, Councillor Fleet, you had a question or a comment?
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you, Chief. This is probably more for Sherry. I'm just reading through this. This would be on page 29. Will the title of Chief Building Official change with the staff reorganization? Do we have a chief building official?
So,
Sherry?
yeah, thank you, Your Worship. So yes, you're legislated to appoint a chief building official. I'm not sure by which act specifically, but you're required to have a chief building official. So someone has to have that in their title.
Okay, so that would be whoever, so already, and that would be in one of our building officials' titles, I guess, saying that.
Correct. Like right now, Andrew's title is director of well, this is terrible. I'm not sure exactly his title, but it's director of building and planning / CBO. Sorry.
Okay,
I may
all
not
right.
have that exactly right, but that's the intent, right? So pending what our titles look like when we have our organizational review continues to move forward with implementation, CBO will have to be identified either in the title or the job description.
All righty, thank you.
Okay, I don't see any other hands. I'll call the question. All in favor of FI 0325? That is carried. All right, item 10, we're now on page 63 of the package. We've got 4 sets. These are committees of council minutes. We've got 4 sets of minutes plus the subcommittee minutes. And I'd like a mover and seconder to highlight these with one motion. Councillor Cable and Councillor Hawking. So the first one, 10.1 on page 63 of the package is the Waste Management Committee minutes. Deputy Mayor Dickert.
Thank you, Your Worship. Our January 23rd meeting focused on Cell 3 construction. The estimated cost of that expansion is 2.7 million. Our reserve fund has 1.8, a capital contribution of 260,000 from each municipality, Brockton and Hanover, is included in the 2025 budget, and there will be a $400,000 transfer from reserves in 2025 towards that expense. The tender for Cell 3 expansion has a closing date in March, and hopes of a spring start and a completion in mid-summer of 2025. Our landfill quantities for 2024, Hanover curbside collection was up 0.7% at 893 tons, and Walkerton was down 1.3% at 592 tons. Over the scale residential, Hanover was up 12.67% at 1,065 tons, and Walkerton up 16.92% at 565 tons. Hanover commercial up 4.7%, Walkerton down 46%. The total receivables for the year were actually down 5.04%, which is good. And the household hazardous waste event had 134 participants, and plans are in place for the gull control measures for 2025. And I think that covers most of the highlights from that meeting. I answer any questions if there are some.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Are there any questions or comments? Councillor Cable.
Thank you, Your Worship. Deputy Mayor, in number 5.1, it says here that Brockton expressed concern regarding the potential inequity of a proportionate share between the municipalities. So currently it's 50-50, is that correct? And so the thought would be that perhaps that split should be different. Is that that what I'm picking up?
Believe that was the intent of the comments that Councillor Elphick was making. There was nothing, no firm proposals or anything. That it's just a thought that does come up from time to time in the meeting. And as I kind of detailed some of the tonnages there in my report, just to give everybody an idea of just how that does play out. And you know, it will be up to them if they want to pursue that further, I guess. But at this point in time, there's nothing firm in the plans.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, 10.2 is the Parks, Recreation and Culture Advisory Committee minutes. And Councillor Cable is going to highlight those.
Thank you, Worship. Parks, Recreation and Culture Advisory Committee met on January the 22nd. We started with a delegation from Mike Fisher and Lori Pegalo on behalf of the Hanover Barons. We're continuing to meet with local user groups of parks and recreation facilities to hear about successes and challenges and areas of need. Once they provided an update on the Hanover Barons, of course, the team continues to focus on rebuilding and winning the Pollock Division and ultimately winning the Schmaltz Cup. The team is focused on developing a pipeline of Hanover area youth to join the team, which is nice to see. One of the successes that they noted was being recognized in the mayor's top 10. The Barons continue to do very well in the series, and they were thanked for their many contributions to the community. The Barons outlined a few concerns, including considerable costs to operate and challenges with volunteer recruitment to help at games. Their largest concern was the camera system that they are currently being mandated to install by the PJHL, and the agreement which council confirmed, we think it's over a year ago, has since been rescinded, and the PJHL has moved to a different provider. And there are privacy concerns about the agreement from several municipalities, with the platform provider being US-based and the laws being referenced in the agreement being from the United States. So in the interim, the Barons are recording games via video camera, and they're uploading them manually to the site. And so we're hoping that that will get rectified in partnership with many other municipalities across the province of Ontario. Our main item of discussion was a splash pad update, and I will leave that to Councillor Hawking in the next sets of minutes that are forthcoming. But it was really exciting for us to be able to see the design that the splash pad committee has been working on. And I know that this is going to be a great addition to our community when it is set to go this spring. When we reviewed other updates from Parks and Recreation staff, certainly the outdoor rink was mentioned, and it is great to see that the season has been long for the rink this year, thanks to only 11 volunteers who are maintaining that rink. So it is a lot of work. We know there's been a lot of snow, and certainly thanks to Matt as well, who's been a key person in making that rink happen this year. We talked about winter swim lessons, which had started at that point in time. And the participation in winter swim lessons is going very well. Staff are looking to innovate a little bit based on feedback around youth swimmers. And so they're looking to implement a youth lane swimming program for 12 to 18-year-olds. That would be during the summer months to reduce demand on lane swims while the swim team is on summer break. So I think that's a great addition that they're looking to implement there. Those would be the highlights from the meeting. And if there's any questions, I'd be happy to take those.
Thank you, Councillor Cable. Are there any questions or comments? Maybe someone can help me. I don't know anything about ice rinks. So with all this, it has to be shoveled. Like you can't get a blower on the rink and blow it off. Sherry, would you know that?
I don't know for sure if they're maybe not using some of their own personal snow blowing equipment, which I've seen via social media. I can't comment on, sorry, my screen just went black. I gotta move my mouse to wake it up. I can't comment on what the instructions have been specifically to our volunteers, but typically with your outdoor rink, it's really about getting the snow down to the ice surface. So I know what it's like when I snow blow my driveway versus shovel my driveway.
Yes.
I can get to the asphalt when I shovel, but not necessarily when I snow blow. So yes, manual labor shoveling is probably the best to get the best quality flood, which is the longevity of our ice surface and safety of our ice surface accordingly.
Thank you. I just want to highlight, it's a lot of work shoveling because I've been shoveling my own driveway at times. So good for the volunteers and thank you to them. All right, next is 10.2.1. There's two sets of minutes from the Splash Pad Committee. Councillor Hawking. You're on mute, Councillor Hawking. There you go. Yes.
Thank you, Your Worship. So the first set of minutes are from our meeting on January the 8th. We had a delegation, Mike Kitchen from ABC Recreation, provided committee members with information on the design of the splash pad. And Councillor Cable has already mentioned that that was presented at the Recreation Board. The fundraising update to date, our total is $372,000. We did receive a lovely donation from the Community Players donation. It was photo op. And we adjourned as stated in our next meeting, and I'll just slide that over here. Unfortunately, I was unable to attend, so I'll have to go with the minutes. I talked to Laura this morning. We reviewed the press release, and all of you have seen that. The final design was approved by ABC Recreation, and then it was approved at the committee, ad hoc committee, on the site amenity directions, which include picnic tables, benches, and bike racks. This is going to be a great addition to our community. We're working on donor recognition signage at this point in time, and we're looking at June the 7th as a possible date for the grand opening and a backup on the 21st. We will confirm that at a later date. And of course, we have a committee looking at the booze. I almost said booze. No. The food, beverage, and entertainment that will be provided that day. We get a lot of people there if we had what I mentioned. So I'm open to any questions.
Thank you, Councillor Hawking. Any questions, comments? Another project moving very quickly. Well done.
Thanks.
Item 10.3 is the Age-Friendly Advisory Committee minutes. Councillor Fleet.
Thank you, Worship. Age-Friendly met on January 20th. Unfortunately, I was at the Roma convention. I wasn't able to attend, but Brandon Dobson just gave me a couple of the highlights, and I can. The one highlight was Senior Star newsletter is in final editing phase and will be printed and out for delivery to 35 homes in Hanover in March. And the other one was volunteer fair, which they're looking at June 17th, P&H Center, Arena Floor, and we'll be working in partnership with the library to host a volunteer fair in June. This will be an opportunity to provide attendees with information on different volunteer positions available in Hanover. And that's the two highlights he had for me, and I'd take any questions if I can answer them. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Fleet. Any comments or questions? Okay, we'll move on. 10.4 is the new police station project minutes. There's two sets of minutes. Councillor Hudson, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. The first inaugural meeting of the new police station project was Thursday, November the 28th, a welcoming and followed by the charter overview. The review assessed police service requirements for the current population and anticipated growth for the next 25 years, and projected needs for physical infrastructure improvements, renovations, and construction in order to meet those projections. There were previously tours in the existing building to see what worked and what didn't. They also had a tour of the Saugeen Shores Police Building and some ideas came from that. Throughout all phases of the project, the staff are going to be monitoring and applying for any applicable funding that might be available to assist in offsetting project costs, because it needs to be with funding requirements. Project needs to be shovel ready to qualify. So a request for proposal will be completed by March the 3rd and presented to council at the March meeting. And design phase to be completed by end of 2025. So approximately 12 to 16 months to complete, with completion mid 2027. A rough draft for proposal has been completed, and the preliminary concept discussions are for a 2-story police station to best fit the existing old fire hall site, and with the main entrance through the existing civic center parking area, and the existing parking on the south side of the old fire hall will be for staff. It was also suggested to tour a few other facilities to see concepts, and that has been done as well. The other thing that was mentioned was the exterior public washrooms to be considered as part of the design as well. That was a conversation we've had about having downtown washrooms available for people. The existing exit stairs on the theater side of the building will have to be taken into consideration as well with the design process as well. And because of the strategic plan, action to explore partnership to support clean energy initiatives, the police station is anticipated to be a hybrid sustainability design model, which will include a lot of different features, layouts, and designs, and either allow for or some components to be implemented at the time of the initial build, or later on to easily fit the facility into the future. The second meeting we had on January the 14th, sorry, I have all of my notes on my iPad, of which I'm using
Yes.
to do this. I'm winging it here a little bit. Anyway, the Hanover Community Players circulated a correspondence regarding their existing emergency exit stairs, and so that conversation will take place when the design concept is discussed. So Chief Newell and some of the other members of the committee toured the Barrie Police Station, Saugeen Shores, and saw things they liked and didn't like. And so some of the proposed layout ideas were the front lobby, how that should be laid out, the main floor for staff only, the upper floor for certain things as well. So all of those design concepts will happen at a later date when we get something back from the request for proposal for designs from whatever architect that is chosen. And I believe that is all. Thank you.
Very good. Are there any comments or questions for either Councillor Hudson or Councillor Hocking? Okay, so that's the last set of minutes. It's been moved by Councillor Cable, seconded by Councillor Hocking, to receive the information and approve the recommendations contained in the minutes that were just highlighted. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Moving on to bylaws. We have 3 bylaws. This is item 11. And I need a mover and seconder before I ask the clerk for the intent. Councillor Hocking and Councillor Sackle. So Vicky, I'll ask for the intent of the bylaws, please.
Thank you, Mayor Patterson. through you. Bylaw 3326-25 is a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the January 13th, 2025 regular council meeting. Bylaw 3327-25 is a bylaw to authorize an alternate voting method for the 2026 municipal and school board election. Bylaw 3328-25 is a bylaw to establish and regulate a fire department in the town of Hanover.
Thank you. So it's been moved by Councillor Hawking, seconded by Councillor Sackle, that bylaw numbers 3326-25 through to 3328-25 be introduced and that they be taken as read a first, second, and third time, finally passed, signed by the mayor and the clerk, sealed with the seal of the corporation, and inserted in the bylaw book. Is there any further discussion with the bylaws? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? That is carried. Very good. Item 12, we do not have any correspondence requiring action. Item 13 is reports and correspondence for information. 13.1 is report ED 0225. The subject is the Event Development Fund Criteria Update, and it's from April Marshall, our Economic Development Manager. April?
Thank you, Your Worship. So the event development is an initiative of our cultural roundtable, and it was established in response to our cultural plan recommendation, strategic direction number 3, which is to create an environment where enhanced cultural activities can take place. So the Event Development Fund wants to recognize the important role that our not-for-profit community and private enterprises play in delivering special events and initiatives in our community, and to support and promote cultural activity and tourism. The fund was started in 2022, and it has supported over 14 events by contributing $26,000 in grants over the 3 years. So examples of the participants include the downtown Fall and Christmas markets, the library's Art Under the Harvest Moon, when Carrie Moore School of Dance first moved to the P&H Center and really grew her annual dance recital. It started the Plein Air Painting Festival and Quick a Paint event, the Hanover Fair and Town Crier Provincial Championship, the Eat Well Farmers Market, as noted in a previous report, and Yoga in the Square. So these events have significantly contributed to cultural vibrancy and economic development in Hanover by creating that sense of community and engagement amongst residents. So this evening, we wanted to provide an updated overview of the fund and note some of the changes that we have made. And essentially, we have done this because over the past 3 years, we've really gained some valuable insights from the responses and feedback received from the fund recipients. So it just gave us an opportunity to really refine and enhance the fund's criteria so that it better aligns with its purpose and ensure that the funds are used effectively by the recipients. So where you're really going to see the changes is how the growth of events are measured, how we can support ongoing events that might not be showing that growth through growth in attendance or expansion of venue size or additional talent, entertainment, or activities, but is a way for us to help contribute to the overall marketing so that there's more awareness about the events, and therefore hopefully that increases attendance. So we have it set up that, again, if you're starting a new event, there's a grant that can be received for up to $2,500, which should represent a grant amount set at 50% of the overall expenses for the budget. If they're growing the event, we have a maximum grant of $1,500 per application and organization annually, and that should represent 50% of the overall expenses in the budget. And if they are a returning event that is a contributor to our cultural vibrancy, and we want to support in the marketing and grow our cultural brand, we have that grant amount set at a max of $500, and that will directly need to be put into the marketing budget and shown accordingly. So this for 2025, we're going to have 2 intakes. April 18th is the application deadline for May to events happening in May to August, and then August 8th, 2025 for events occurring at the latter part of the year, September to December 2025. We have a review panel set up. There's reporting mechanisms in place, and we've clearly identified when funds will be released and how those reporting mechanisms that need to be received for the balance to be issued to the applicable events. So as far as financial implications, this year via the economic development budget and the cultural roundtable budget line for the event development fund, council has approved $6,000 in funds this year. So we're looking forward to seeing the applications that will come forth in this coming year. Links to the strategic plan are healthy and welcoming community and strong and vibrant economy. And the recommendation is that council receive that report ED 0225 Event Development Fund criteria update be received for information. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, April. Councillor Sacco.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you, April, for your report. I just realized when I'm going over this report that I was one of your first recipients for the Library Gala. So it's so important, and I know how valuable it was to have that extra money to work with. So my question is, how are you going to get this information out to people? If they don't know anything about this, how are you going to reach them, April?
Thank you, Councillor Sacco. Well, we always have this information available on our website, and as soon as this moves forward, I will be promoting it via the Town of Hanover social media outlets. And again, in any conversations that I have with stakeholders of events or inquiries of that nature, whatever opportunity we have to promote these available funds, we find a way to do that for sure.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, item 13.2, we're on page 135 of the package. This is report DCS 0325. The subject is the 2024 Council Remuneration and Expenses, and it's from Chris Walker, our Director of Corporate Services and Treasurer. Chris.
Thank you, Your Worship. As Council is aware, every year, as per Section 284(1) of the Municipal Act, we as a municipality have to give an itemized list to the Council of the municipality, a statement of remuneration and expenses paid in the previous year to each member of Council in respect of his or her services as a member of Council or any other body, including a local board. The remuneration and expenses paid shall also be reported for each person other than a member of Council who has been appointed to serve as a member of any board, including a local board. We have attached the 2024 Statement of Remuneration and Expenses. That is all included as part of the 2024 budget. You will notice in the documentation, which is on page 137 of your document, there's the salary and the per diems that you would do if you attend a half day or a full day session, the total amount covered, as well as any travel and convention information that if you attended AMO or any of those activities. So the total amount paid by the town is about $161,175. And the other department area is, these are areas where they were paid by outside sources. And for instance, for both Councillor Hawking and Mayor Patterson, there was $3,000 for each of them for the Police Services Board, because that's covered through the Police Board budget. Mayor Patterson is also part of the Saugeen Valley Conservation, which is about $1,000. And she's also part of West Terry, which is about $11,600. The other boarding committees would be the Police Services Board, and that's the only committee or board that we actually pay per diems, as well as any regular remuneration for. And those amounts are shown there respectively. And it looks like Chairman Hicks for the Police Services Board also attended a conference, was about $2,500. So that's why it seems a little higher than the rest. And As part of the recommendation, again, this link to strategic plan it's part of this municipal act. We have to follow this, and it's to be open and responsible government. And this report is being provided for information purposes only. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Any comments, questions? Okay, thanks, Chris. Item 13.3, we're on page 139. This is the Police Service Board meeting minutes from January 27th of this year. We did defer elections of the chair and vice chair to the next meeting because we wanted to ensure all members were present. Catherine McKay was appointed as the board administrator / secretary. And we are working on the strategic plan, and when it is completed, it will be shared with council. And succession planning is on the radar, no pun intended. But I do want to share, there is a backlog at in the Walkerton Court due in part to a lack of judges and space, which results in officers having to be paid to attend court for cases which are ultimately not heard. So the chief is following this very closely and working with court officials to resolve the issue, because it is going to cost money to all users of the Walkerton Court. And that's all I have for the police board minutes. If anyone has questions. Okay, item 13.4, this is the Grey County Council and Committee of the Whole highlights. Deputy Mayor Dickert.
Thank you, Your Worship. February 13th meeting, we discussed a notice of motion to investigate snow removal from a county parking lot at the CP Rail Trail in Markdale. It was brought forward as there's a lot of snowmobile enthusiasts that like to park there, and that lot is currently not plowed due to budget constraints. One of the items in the consent agenda was the economic development meeting minutes, and Savannah Myers did highlight the economic development annual report, which will be shared with all lower tier councillors. And we would have had them for you tonight, except our meeting last week went virtual, so we weren't there to pick them up. But I'm sure they will be there for our next meeting. Another item from those minutes was an update on the green development standards. They're looking at a point system that would encourage green development through awarding points to developers who make those changes in their plans. We received a report from Airden Bearless regarding a closed meeting, and reassuring us that rules were not broken when we had that all county councillor meeting back in June or whenever that was. Maybe August. Approved a staff report directing staff to move forward with the public and municipal consultations in regard to the forest management bylaw. And council received an information report on the committee of the whole structure. The report outlined the benefits and challenges of the current structure compared to a standing committee structure. Moving forward, Grey County will continue with the committee of the whole structure and will put more emphasis into sharing subcommittee details during meetings of committee of the whole to ensure that all councillors are well informed, which is similar to what we do here in Hanover. Our council members share the minutes and the highlights of them, and keeps everybody just a little better informed about what's going on in those subcommittees. County staff provided information to council regarding the current status of the Canada-USA relations and tariffs. And Grey County will be pursuing purchasing practices to support more Canadian and local procurement. And staff also highlighted a relaunch of the Made in Grey brand, which will be expanded beyond agri-food products to help residents identify locally produced items for purchase. That is my report, and would take any questions if you have them.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Are there any questions or comments? Okay, item 13.5 is from the Eastern Ontario Wardens Caucus. It's a resolution reflecting support of Canadian and Ontario government's negotiations with the United States government on trade tariffs. I believe we're going to probably be receiving a lot of these resolutions coming forward, so, which is good. Item 13.6 is notice from the County of Bruce regarding zoning bylaw amendments within the municipality of Brockton. It will be held Tuesday, March the 18th at 7:30 p.m. in the Bruce County Council Chambers, which is at 30 Park Street in Walkerton. So that's for information. And I'm sure Andrew will keep an eye on that to see if it affects Hanover at all. Item 14 is councillor and staff updates or good news and celebrations. And before I start with Councillor Fleet, I do want to say, send out a huge thank you to our dedicated public works staff who've gone above and beyond over the past, I want to say 50 days of relentless winter. Their commitment and tireless efforts have ensured our streets remain accessible despite Mother Nature's continuous barrage of snow. Mother Nature is sure showing her strength this year. A special shout out to our residents and businesses as well. Your patience and understanding during snow hauling operations have not gone unnoticed. And we can't forget everyone who has stepped up to keep the fire hydrants clear, ensuring quick access for our emergency services. So thank you for all the exceptional communal effort. Together, we weather every storm a little bit better. So, Councillor Fleet, I'll start with you. Do you have any good news and celebrations?
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a couple here. First of all, I want to congratulate the Hanover Barons for taking first place in the North Paulick Division. Their season ended this past weekend, and I'm sure we all wish them best of luck in the playoffs. The Barons ended the regular season tying franchise record wins from last year. They had 35 wins, so go Barons, go. And I know they really appreciate our support. You hear it when you're at the games, and it's good to see our Barons doing well again this year. One other thing, attended the Hanover Bennick Brant Egg Society meeting with Mayor Patterson. The Egg Society is very important to our community. They're pretty excited about their new community hall they're building, and they're the racing so important to our town of Hanover too. So, and then our hot chocolate on the outdoor rink. We didn't, thanks to all council that showed up, and we didn't have a lot out, but they came and went, and we had a great morning. So, thanks to everyone, and thanks to all our great volunteers. And that's all I have to report.
Thank you. Anyone else with good news and celebrations? Councillor Hudson.
Thank you, Your Worship. Well, I had the opportunity to attend the Legion public speaking contest on Sunday, which was my first time at that. So that was really great. They had 20 participants taking part, many proud families and teachers there to encourage their efforts. Topics were very diverse, well executed, and it was interesting to see what the youth in our community are passionate about. So I want to thank all the participants for all the hard work and effort they put in, the parents for showing up and showing their support, and also to the Legion members for setting up and executing a great event. It was a fun afternoon to hear all of these young potential leaders in our community getting passionate about things that they think are very important.
Okay, very good. Councillor Sackle.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just want to remind everyone out there that Saturday, February the 22nd is coldest night of the year. And if you're interested in helping volunteer or participate as a walker, please contact Greg Dow of Grey Bruce Mentorship. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Anyone else? All right, very good. I don't see any hands. I'll ask staff. Sherry, anything you want to update?
Thank you, Your Worship. No, I echo your Public Works words. I have learned a ton, no pun intended, about snow removal this year. So it's a bit of a fine art, to say the least. And kudos to our residents. I shoveled the fire hydrant just near my house 3 times on the weekend. I had done it before Christmas and hadn't kept up with it. Shame on me. But it's doable. I know some are a little bit further in on people's properties, but we sincerely appreciate those who do take the time to do so. We are getting some inquiries about fire hydrants. So thank you to the residents, our businesses, as Mayor Sue said, patience-wise, and hopefully the groundhog is right and spring is nearby soon. Thank you.
Thanks. Yes, those fire hydrants, it's so important to keep them clear. It's if you had a fire, you'd want that hydrant cleared. And similar with your gas meters and vents. Whether I know, as an example, on my property, I keep my neighbors clear and my neighbor on the other side keeps it clear. And I look at it, if the neighbor had to be evacuated, I probably would too. So we might as well all be neighborly and look after each other, because it does help, especially in emergency situations. All right, okay. Planning and other meetings, they're all listed on this agenda and our website. Dates to remember and announcements. The next committee of the whole meeting is March the 3rd at 4 p.m. The next regular council meeting is March 17th at 4 p.m. And our finance committee is February 24th at 4 p.m. I'll ask at this time, are there any notices of motion? Seeing none, we have one final business, and that is to adjourn the meeting at 6:08, and Councillor Hawking has his hand up. I need a seconder. Councillor Fleet, all in favor? That is carried. Good meeting, everyone, and thanks for doing the virtual thing again. Took a bit, but we did it. So thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.